Is the felon going to declare martial law on April 20th? Is Mr. Garcia still in El Salvador and still in reasonably good health? Are there contempt charges coming for people in the Trump administration? And will people go to jail if they don't start following judicial orders? Let's look into all that. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. First off, a huge thank you to everybody who likes, watches, comments on the videos. I appreciate it so very much. I try to get to everybody's comments. I certainly read them. I try to acknowledge that, or at least reply back. It's getting harder because there's more and more comments, but that's a good thing. But I will continue to try to do that. If you're subscribed to the channel, I'm very grateful. If you watch the videos and you're not subscribed to the channel, I'd really like it if you'd subscribe. It just helps the algorithm, helps the channel grow, reach more people. And if you've been generous and given money to the channel, I'm very, very grateful. I don't expect donations, but thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. So several of you have asked me two questions. Is the felon going to declare martial law on January 20th? I've kind of already read on this, but I thought I'd revisit it because we do have several thousand new subscribers since I read on it. Several of you have asked, is Mr. Garcia still alive in El Salvador? I will look into that as well. And then I want to look into whether, so a judge said that there's reason to file criminal contempt charges against some Trump officials. Let's look into that. And let's also look into, will people be jailed if they still are not fixing the issue? In other words, if they're still in contempt of court, will the judges actually start jailing people? So let's start with Mr. Garcia. So how's Mr. Garcia doing? What's Mr. Garcia doing? Well, that popped out. The emperor, abuse of power. He's suffering at the abuse of power, that's for sure. How's Mr. Garcia? So you see in the scrying bowl, I see the Nine of Swords, which is about anxiety and sleepless nights. That makes perfect sense that he would be experiencing that. I don't get the sense that he's departed the planet, but we'll see what the tarot says. What's Mr. Garcia doing? What's Mr. Garcia doing? It just feels like the Five of Cups. I don't see the Five of Cups in the water or anything. It's like a huge loss, and it's how he feels. Just his life has been completely uprooted by illegal actions. We get the Ten of Pentacles in the environment. Or we get the Ten of Pentacles. This could be about inheritance. Could just be about a lot of money trying to keep him in El Salvador. Money trying to keep him in El Salvador. And I think that's what that's about. Even though the government knows that they did wrong, they're coming up with all sorts of excuses, accusing him all sorts of crimes, even though there's no evidence whatsoever. In fact, I think Marco Rubio said something to the effect of, he was such a good criminal, we don't have much evidence of that. Well, maybe he's not a criminal at all, right? Is most likely what's going on. You get the Lover's card, unlikely partnerships. I think he's coping in prison. He's on the defense. He's definitely worried about being attacked while he's in prison. We get ill health, and I think this is mental health here. There's just a lot of mental struggles. Now, mental health can lead to ill physical health, that's for sure. He's worried about there being a spy in the jail that's there to hurt him. it's like he feels like he constantly has to watch over his shoulder. He's very concerned that somebody's going to try to kill him while he's there. Here's the anxiety, the Nine of Swords that I was seeing in the environment around. He's not sleeping well, which is part of the ill health. Lots of sleepless nights, just a lot of anxiety, a lot of just befuddlement, not understanding how or why this happened, not understanding how this could happen, as are a lot of people in the world. He feels blinded by the decision that happened to take him to El Salvador. There is victory in the environment around. That's good. We've had some judicial victories on behalf of Mr. Garcia already, and we get fighting. So money took him to El Salvador. He's worried about somebody in the prison possibly being paid as well to stir up a fight and possibly try to do him harm. He's very confused about the choices that were made that and how he ended up there. He feels as if it was sabotaged by the US government. And he feels like he has to defend himself, but he doesn't know what he's defending himself against. That describes the befuddlement, I think is the correct word. In the environment around, there's some unlikely partnerships. So he has a couple people that he's talking to. Ill health, but the ill health is mostly the anxiety and not sleeping well. And we get victory. I do think that he will eventually get justice, whatever that might mean. But is he still on planet Earth? I definitely think that he is. It's a crossroads. He's very scared about being wounded in battle, but it's inevitable that the felon, okay, will have to answer to the people, and the people here's the judiciary. So we'll just have to keep seeing how this plays out in courts. Unfortunately, that's not a fast process, but it seems like judges are trying to make it quicker. So that's good. Okay, um, will the felon declare martial law on April 20th? I've read on this earlier and I didn't think so. I still don't see that happening. There are protests planned for the 19th. Will he try to declare martial law? I see the Ten of Swords in the water. If he does, it will be a very quick and swift downfall, either by the judiciary or even some House Republicans stepping up to impeach him. That might mean removing Mike Johnson as Speaker. I think even the felon knows that's a bridge too far. Military on the streets is not a good look. Will he declare martial law? No. The moon card's a no card. Too much would bubble up to the surface, too many memories of events for the older generations, in particular, turning against him. The challenge also would be the Democrats. There would be lawsuits instantly filed, just instantly filed, instant stay on him being able to declare martial law. It would be stopped immediately by the courts as it worked its way through. We do have Elon Musk underneath, the magician. Elon doesn't want this either because Elon's already, I think, completely destroyed by what has happened to the economy, in particular the stock market and his reputation. And I think this would be a bridge too far for him too. In the past, we get walking away from things that no longer serve us. I think they've thought about it in the past using this for some political gain at some point. But I think they know now that they're already in trouble with the judiciary, that it's not looking good. The Supreme Court unanimously ruled against them. I think it would be a unanimous ruling from the Supreme Court again. It would be inevitable that there would be immediate procedures to remove him as president. Don Bacon in particular is a House Republican I see just immediately moving to try to remove Mike Johnson, get a different speaker in there that would bring up articles of impeachment. It only takes 9, and I think they have the 9. Yeah, we get the courts in the near future. The courts would step up immediately and put an end to it. But that would still mean impeachment went forward. I really do think it'd just be the end of him. Yeah, he's the greedy merchant. The tearing down of the structures has already happened with the tower card. If he starts tearing down even more, he's just teetering on the verge of having zero support. They would spend all their time defending this decision for the remainder of his presidency if he stayed in. I'm not saying he'd be removed as president, by the way. I'm saying he'd be impeached. I don't think he would be removed. We get the hermit card. He'd be very isolated and alone. Things would become very transactional, the 6 of Cups, all just about keeping the country going for the next generation. None of his things would be achieved, and it would happen quickly and with lots of passion and fire. Yeah, the Democrats already have a plan, and if their first plan doesn't work, they have another. And they're ready to go take their case to the American people with both the Page and the Knight of Wands. So I don't think so. I don't think he could survive it even if he tried it. Even if he did it, I don't think it would go anywhere. I think it'd be instantly stopped by the courts. I think the military might also not go along with it. I hope I'm right. I never have seen that happening. I know others have, but I've never seen that happening. Okay. So will there be contempt charges coming? Or is the government going to avoid them by actually doing what the judiciary says? Contempt charges coming. I think so. I think it's going to go down something like this. Either the government does what it's supposed to do, or the judge files criminal contempt charges and appoints a prosecutor outside of the DOJ to prosecute it, so that the DOJ wouldn't have a say, because that would be a conflict of interest. So essentially, it's the DOJ that's being charged with contempt. And I think that's the part that they failed to see before, is that the judge has that discretion to appoint somebody else to prosecute it. Just like the judge had a prosecutor, or had a prosecutor argue against dismissing the Eric Adams charges, right? Judges can do that. They can get a different opinion. It's not the government's. So I think that's what would happen. I think that makes them nervous. Again, we get the moon card, things coming to the surface. I think as we discover more and more facts about how egregious this thing that happened with Mr. Garcia is, and also the way the Alien Enemies Act was done and the flights that were en route, why they weren't turned back, as we discover more and more, we'll see why the contempt charge will come. The challenge for the judge is to get the information out to the public in a clear and tangible way that they can understand. I mean, there was a survey, I don't remember who it was by, but something like 41% of Americans can only read at a 3rd grade level. So, reading a judge's orders is something people are going to be able to do. They're going to need it explained to them. We get the Queen of Cups underneath, empathy. The judge feels very empathetic towards Mr. Garcia, as well as these people in Venezuela, or the Venezuelans that were deported illegally. We get the Four of Swords in the past. Before it was like the judiciary was resting, but it's in the past. They're no longer resting. They have woken up. The Supreme Court has woken up too. Unanimous decision saying, Mr. Garcia should be brought back. We get the truth. The truth will prevail. In the near-term future, we get the Two of Pentacles juggling. There's a lot on the plate for the judiciary. Again, it's going to be a matter of picking and choosing the battles. Unfortunately, we don't have a very functional media at this point in time to pick and choose the battles to explain to the people. So it's going to be important that we stay informed on our own. We get the Lovers, unlikely partnerships. I think you might even see some House Republicans start to say you shouldn't be defying court orders. Yeah, if they continue down this road, complete and utter downfall. The judge is not playing around. Both the two judges, the one that's involved in the flights and then the one that's involving Mr. Garcia, neither one of them are playing around. The momentum is on the judiciary side, and we get the Tower card. This is the administration, the structure of the administration come tumbling down. Might even see charges against the attorney general, right? It could go that far if they don't come out of their illusion and delusion. Part of me thinks that they will, and they'll just start complying, because I don't think they really want the fight with the Five of Wands. But they have to figure out a way for the felon to save grace, or save face, I mean. The Fool card, new beginnings, choices being made, the deception being exposed, emotional messages coming forward to plead the case. So I do think either they'll comply or there'll be contempt charges, one or the other. So let's just ask one more question. Are the judges willing to put people in jail? Are these federal judges willing to put people in jail if they don't comply with their orders? The federal judges willing to put people in jail if they do not comply with the federal orders. I think so. I don't think they're playing around. The one judge said, cancel all your appointments, all your vacations, anything. Normally I, give deference to your calendar, but not this time. This is too important. I don't think the judges are playing around. And I think it's such amateur hour in the administration that they don't realize how much power the judges have to appoint special prosecutors, for example. They don't quite understand that, but they will. Giving and receiving of information, the Six of Pentacles. The challenge is the felon himself, the King of Pentacles. They need to do it in a way that he can't pardon them. I think they'll find a way. The Tower card, they realize that the structures are being torn down before our very eyes, and they're willing to fight for it. In the past circles of support and celebration, I think they've probably talked in broad details with their colleagues about how to go about this. We get victory. They're going to ensure that the law is enforced. We get the Ten of Pentacles, the end of a cycle, the end of this disobeying. The Knight of Wands, fiery messages coming forward. This could be the order to have people arrested. The World card, an end of a cycle, the end of the administration running rampant. and the hopes and fears, circles of support around money. That's the hope that the judiciary has the support of its fellow members, including the Supreme Court, and I think they actually do. We get the Two of Pentacles, juggling money and overseas influences. This just has to do with El Salvador, Venezuela, and other things involved. The judiciary is strong, strength, and the Four of Cups. They're willing to hand out things that might not even be popular. So I do think that they are willing to go that extreme if they need to. We get the Sun card, full illumination. Page of Swords, spy in the camp, and we get the Death card. This is the death of the administration as we know it, being really constrained and wrapped in. And I think, you know, Republicans in the Senate and the House, they have their breaking point too. And they're hearing from their constituents. So if you're involved in that, keep that up. Protesting on the 19th, I think there's a big one planned. That's how the resistance wins. You got to be loud, vocal, and we got to let people know how we feel. So, all right. Thank you. I'll be back with another video soon.